Adaeze always thought betrayal announced itself loudly through shouting matches, slammed doors, or messages discovered by accident. But hers came softly, wrapped in silence. The morning had started like any other. She stood in front of the mirror, one hand adjusting her hairnet, the other pressing her palm against her belly. She wasn't fat, just fuller than she used to be. The kind of fullness that motherhood, stress, and the quiet resignation of marriage could give a woman. From the bedroom came the sound of drawers sliding open, then the sharp snap of a perfume cap. Chuka was getting ready for work. "Good morning," she said gently, her voice careful. He didn't look up from the mirror where he sprayed his cologne. "Morning," he replied, already half absorbed in his phone screen. She watched him scroll. His reflection stared back at her, detached, unfamiliar. He used to look at her with a kind of warmth that made her feel seen. Now, he barely noticed when she smiled. He wore the same brown wristwatch she had bought him on his last birthday. The irony made her chest tighten. She was still holding on to symbols of a love that was slowly slipping away. By the time he finished dressing, she had served breakfast: fried yam and eggs, his favorite. She placed the plate in front of him, hoping it might spark a conversation. He barely touched it. "Chuka, are you okay?" she asked quietly. He nodded, not looking up. "I'm fine." Her eyes lingered on him, searching. "You've been distant lately. Did I do something?" He finally looked at her, just for a moment. "Ada, you're imagining things." "I'm just busy." "Busy?" she repeated, a bitter laugh threatening to escape. "Even on weekends?" He stood abruptly, grabbing his car keys. "Don't start this morning." "Start what?" she asked, voice rising slightly. "I'm just asking my husband if he's okay." Chuka sighed. "Adaeze, you worry too much. That's your problem. You're always overthinking." Then he walked out, leaving the smell of his cologne and the sound of unanswered questions behind him. That evening, Adaeze sat on the edge of their bed scrolling through social media when a short video appeared on her feed, a viral clip of a Kenyan man confessing that he had cheated on his wife deliberately to make her lose weight. "I cheated to tamper with her peace of mind," the man said calmly to the interviewer. "She had become too comfortable and started gaining weight. I wanted her to feel insecure so she could start taking care of herself again." Adaeze froze. The interviewer laughed awkwardly in the clip, but the man didn't flinch. He said it as though it were a reasonable thing to do, breaking a woman's heart to reshape her body. Her thumb hovered over the screen, and for the first time, she felt a cold awareness spreading through her chest. Because for weeks now, she had noticed Chuka's behavior. The late nights. The new perfume. The sudden gym membership. And his recent obsession with her weight. She could still hear him teasing last week, "Ah, Ada, you don't fit into that dress anymore. You used to be lighter." She had laughed then, pretending it didn't sting. But laughter doesn't always mean it doesn't hurt, it only means you've learned to swallow pain politely. When he returned home that night, she didn't greet him. She sat quietly, watching him undress. He glanced at her once and said, "Why are you staring like that?" "Do you love me, Chuka?" she asked suddenly. He looked startled, then chuckled awkwardly. "Where's this coming from? Just answer me." He shrugged. "Of course I love you. You're my wife." "Then why does it feel like you're punishing me for existing?" He frowned. "Ada, please. I'm tired." "Tired of what? Me or my body?" The silence that followed was so long, it became its own answer. That night, when he fell asleep beside her, Adaeze lay awake staring at the ceiling. The fan above made a slow, steady whirring sound, but her mind was louder. She thought about that man in the video, the one who hurt his wife just to make her lose weight. And for the first time, she wondered, was her husband doing the same? Had Chuka's sudden coldness been a strategy to break her confidence? Was his distance not a sign of disinterest, but a calculated push to make her chase his approval again? She turned to look at him. His chest rose and fell steadily, his face calm in sleep. She remembered how he used to trace his fingers along her stretch marks and say they looked like lightning bolts of love. Now he barely touched her. In that moment, Adaeze understood something painful yet freeing. The enemy wasn't her body. It was the belief that she had to earn love by shrinking herself. The next morning, when she stood before the mirror again, she didn't pinch her stomach or lift her chin to find angles. She simply stared. The woman in the reflection looked tired, yes, but also awake. For the first time in months, she whispered to her reflection, "If you leave, let it be for you, not for him." And as the sun rose, Adaeze began to see what the mirror had been trying to tell her all along. That the weight she needed to lose wasn't physical. It was emotional. It was him. The afternoon sun pressed against the windowpanes of Adaeze's living room, turning the air heavy, still. She sat on the sofa, feet tucked beneath her, laptop open, but surveys of numbers and charts were forgotten. The news clip she'd watched the night before still played, unsettled, in her mind. "I married her when she was slim, then she put on weight. I signed her up to a gym. Nothing worked. So I cheated to take away her peace of mind, so she would lose the weight." The words rang inside her like a bell in an empty hall, startling in their honesty, brutal in their intent. She closed the laptop. The sun had shifted, the light through the window was now soft, elongated. Her phone vibrated, a message from Chuka. "Running late. Don't wait." She typed nothing back. "You have to remember how it felt," Adaeze told herself. Nothing started with weight. It began in laughter, in shared looks, in that moment when she felt seen. She met Chuka at a friend's birthday gathering. He wore a crisp shirt, she wore simplicity. She didn't know then that she would lean into his gaze as though it held a map of belonging. In the months that followed, they talked long past midnight. He called her my light, he held her hand in crowded rooms. They danced in the drizzle of a Lagos evening, he whispered that her laughter was the rhythm he'd follow. When he proposed, he looked at her and said, "I love you for your soul, not your shape." She believed him. She needed him to believe that. But a woman doesn't wake one morning to find her soul changed, she wakes to find another's eyes changed. But a woman doesn't wake one morning to find her soul changed, she wakes to find another's eyes changed. At the office the next day, Adaeze's chair creaked as she sat. Chioma slid into the seat opposite. Her face bore concern, the kind that happens when silence has grown long between two people. "Last night?" Chioma asked. Adaeze nodded, blankly. "She said you were quiet." "Who?" "The world," Chioma said softly. "And you kept looking away." Adaeze closed her eyes. "I saw something." "A clip." A man said, he cheated so that his wife would lose weight. Chioma exhaled. "And you thought of us?" "I thought of me." Chioma reached across, placed her hand on Adaeze. "Ada, it's not about the weight. It's about control." Adaeze's heart rocketed. "What if I'm wrong?" "Then you'll find out. But you won't stay smaller just to keep someone's peace." Adaeze thought of all the times Chuka had joked, "You've gotten thick, that dress used to fit better, blue one makes you look slimmer." They weren't jokes. They were instructions. She got home and changed. The dress she stood in front of the mirror was a dark green wrap style, once new, now snug. She tied it slowly, forcing the knot to sit in place. She examined the stomach line, the hips. She felt the shape, not anyone else's critique, just the heaviness of her own gaze. Chuka arrived late, again. As he dropped his bag, she said, "We need to talk." He glanced at her, surprise flickering. "About what?" "About us." He ran a hand over his hair, then sat on the edge of the sofa. "What about us?" "You tell me what's changed." He looked out the window. "People change." "You changed how?" she pressed. He rubbed his jaw. "I don't think you feel the same." She looked at him. "How do I feel the same when I don't feel seen?" He turned to her. "Seen? I see you every day." "Are you seeing me," she asked, "or watching a shape you once liked?" He flinched as though struck. "Ada." "No. Let me finish. You tell me you love me. But when did love become about me being thinner, quieter, perfect?" Silence. He stood. "It's not like that." "It is like that," she said. "You've been trying to change me instead of loving me as I am." He paced. "I just thought we needed progress." "You called my body progress," she said quietly. "Not me." That night, she lay awake while he slept. The ceiling fan cast shadows across the wall. She listened to the rhythmic hiss and thought about control. Thought about the clip of the man and what he admitted to do. She wondered if Chuka's late nights, the new gym membership he took, the perfume at dawn, they were his version of the control that man spoke of. If silence was his strategy to make her chase him again. If he believed that by making her feel insecure, he could win her love. But she wasn't that woman any longer. She wasn't going to shrink to fit his peace. She wasn't going to trade her soul for approval shaped by his scripts. In the dark, she whispered, "I am not your project." And as the sun rose again, she resolved, tomorrow she would speak. But not in the way he expected. She would speak for herself.